right, everybody, let's do a audio and visual check. How's everybody tonight? This beautiful Tuesday night. Kyle Armstrong, long Nikkei, 530. That's a great entry. That is a great entry for you. If you got in at 530, loud and clear. Good. 5 by 5. It's nice when things just work sometimes. Let's play that. Let's pray that we don't have any buffering issues. One change a day, long of the Nikkei right now. Man, what's going on? Everyone's long the Nikkei. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing that you guys are long the Nikkei right now, because I'm also long the Nikkei right now in just this combine. So that being said, let's get started. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Slow Markets. I'm Coach Dakota, Coach DBA. As always, in the YouTube chat is our Top Step risk disclosure. Everything that I say and go over each and every night is for educational purposes only. It is not a signals class. It's not used as financial advice. It's for education, right? We all are here to learn. And I don't know if it's good or bad that traders and some of the traders in the chat are kind of seeing the same setups that I am as of late, because sounds like the chat is long the Nikkei, which is the Japanese market, very similar to how it was last night. I am long the Nikkei in this account. This is just the play account, as you can see over here. This is a daily. Let me zoom into a 5-minute chart and zoom in. I could talk over this trade a little bit later, but yeah, let's get to it. Let's get through our regular rapid fire. I'll talk about this later. This isn't much of a big deal because it's just a demo testing the wonderful what would happen if my stop loss is my entry. And sure enough, that's what it was, right? I had my stop loss down here. I didn't get the exact price because I sat down at the table, or I sat down at my desk, and I seen us breaking some of these lows. I'm like, all right, let's try it. Stop loss is the entry. And you can see my main stop loss for this trade is 38,380. And we'll see where this one goes. Let's keep going. Let's get going. Remember, hold questions until I have a moment. If you do have the questions, we have amazing moderators who's able to feed me some of the questions that I do miss, and typically I tend to get to them. Now, that being said, on the daily chart here in the NASDAQ, we are consolidating. We're consolidating. We have big news coming out tomorrow, right? We have a big event. If we take a look at this Traders Hub, we can see the news that will be coming out tomorrow. We have overnight, right? We have a lot of news coming out in the UK, French. We have the ECB speakers, and then of course we have this is an interesting one, right? We have Barkin speaking. Barkin's scheduled to speak right before the release of this CPI. Is that normal, everybody? I mean, I typically don't pay too much attention to it, but yeah, we have core CPI, and this is a big one. This is a very big news event tomorrow morning, and expect a lot of volatility, up, down, back and forth. Maybe we are right back to where we are when the news comes out. But yeah, that's something to be aware of. And going back to the NASDAQ, if we take a look at the daily and we look, where are we at? Where have we been? And same place as last night, same place as the night before, right? Sunday night. And you can see we have January 13th, January 14th as consolidation days. We did test this pivot a couple times, right? We tested it yesterday. We tested it today, Tuesday, during the New York session. And essentially, it's like we're consolidating. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Obviously, if we do start to rally, then we're just going to simply say, well, that was pretty obvious, higher low, and we just buy the dip and look at this, and we'll be like, yeah, that was obvious. That was simple. That was straightforward. We buy the dip, and we sold off down to this trend line from a technical standpoint. and easy. It's easy, right? Trading's easy if we do rally from here, and we could look at that and be like, yeah, we seen that coming. Or the second option is that we do start to sell off, and if we do break, we're maybe look at the first level of support resistance is going to be right in this zone, right around these 300s plus or minus. That's a decent zone. It's not an exact level, and yeah, this would be obviously something if the CPI comes out not good, or if we start to push these lows, and we could see that move. We've seen bigger moves in a day, right? We've seen bigger sell-offs. I mean, if we take a look at, I'm not going to be expecting a minus 4% day, but there has been bigger sell-offs before. If we take a look at this is something I wanted to bring up, and we look at these sell-offs from top to bottom, and we measure them, and we take a look and say, if we're measuring these sell-offs, are we at a point? I should have brought this up last night, where this is something to consider. Whether it's it seems like we did get a little bit of a pullback, right? Where from this low down here all the way to the high, that's a decent move from 20,700 all the way to 21,000. Like 150, that's 350 points. That's a good move, and that's a decent pullback. And so it's either way. I'm going into tomorrow morning without a bias. We could go up, we could go down. I don't think it's going to. We're right in the middle of the consolidation. If we was on the higher end, I'd be looking to see if we could rotate back down. And let's zoom into an hourly chart and kind of go over it. Let's see. Just a whole lot of nothing, huh? If you guys watched Fast Markets, I will not be on Fast Markets tomorrow, but if you watched today during Fast Markets, we were up here. We were up in this area. And I was really looking for this market to, have a little bit of a bigger push up here towards this level, these 21,200s. I was looking for. I was really looking for these pushes or a rally up to 200. We didn't get it. We did not. We actually reversed. We started to sell off, and right back down here to these lows. You can see where this was resistance from Monday, became some support today during the New York session, and we are right in the middle of. We're just right in the middle. It's hard to pick a direction. The best thing to do is, for me and the way I'm looking at it, the best thing for me is to just sit on my hands. You can see that's why I'm in a combine. I took a loss yesterday. I'm scratched for the week. And it's sitting in wait. We'll see what tomorrow brings. We'll see what the CPI brings, and see how the market reacts. And then once the market reacts, then as traders will react, then maybe that's going to bring out some good trade opportunities, and possibly have a really great, Tuesday after the news. Then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday could very well be some of the better days. It's a full week. We finally get a full week. And so Wednesday, Thursday, Friday could be very, very good days after the CPI comes out. Let me zoom in on the 5-minute. Nothing's really happened. I did miss this. What was this? I didn't really catch what happened. It looks like this was some type of a news event where we just went straight down and straight back up, and here we are. I don't know what this was. AMD. People were blaming tech layoffs, short covering out of the blue, no news, liquidity grab. So, essentially, we just sold off 230 points, and then we rallied 215 points for no reason. A Fed speaker. It was lunch. Yeah, it was a little after lunch. This was in the afternoon session, right before power hour. This was basically during power hour, right? Maybe it was just like a knee-jerk reaction where we just sold off and right back up. It was a matrix glitch, algo manipulation. It's yeah, that was something else when I looked at the chart. It was kind of surprising. Let's move on. Let's take a look at crude oil. Crude oil, gonna start. Let's see how crude oil has been. If it's any more tradable. This is an hourly chart on crude. Zooming out, and not so much. We had that rally, and we got up to what? 79 and a quarter, and we haven't really moved anywhere. Just from a pure technical standpoint, could this be a shoulder, head, and shoulder pattern? And then if we start to break down below 77.50, could we see a run lower? Could we see a run lower to test $77 a barrel, maybe come down to this 76.50 level? I would like to see this. If we do get a leg lower here in crude, then I'm going to be tempted, and maybe there's finally going to be an opportunity to get long crude oil if we can get a leg lower. I want to find a way to buy crude. I want to be a buyer of any type of sell-off, because this has been a very strong trend. Crude's been rallying since December, and then the rally started to pick up, and then we finally had some nice breakouts, and now we're seeing some more volatility in crude. So I would like a nice pullback. I don't know how far. It'd be interesting to see where we could go. I don't know. Is it possible? I mean, I guess anything's possible. Anything can happen. Can we see a pullback to $75 a barrel? If we do, then I would be tempted to be looking for longs around that level, or depending on how the price action reacts. But buying the dip in crude is something I am interested in. And now that we're talking about crude, let's look at gold. Has gold done anything? Still not much going on in gold, right? This was yesterday. A whole lot of nothing. Gold's been a very tough market to trade. Last year, we got a lot of volatility, hitting all-time highs. We had a huge run, lots of volatility in gold, and now it's not so much. Maybe there's something to be said. I don't know if this is going to matter too much, but I mean, we are making higher lows. This is something, higher lows. And, are we going to find a higher low? Is this a higher low? And then we're also making higher highs. And so if we look at this, can we make an argument to be bullish and to look for longs and see if we could have a continuation up towards, these highs again? If I was going to trade it, that is going to be the most tempting, to look for longs, not shorts, because we are making these higher lows and we are making the higher highs. We have had this consolidation for a while, just kind of hovering back and forth around 2660s, 2670s, and it's been a really difficult market to trade for me anyway. Let's talk about, I want to take a look at Bitcoin. Someone says Bitcoin's breaking out. It is. Bitcoin is breaking out. You know what? Maybe we just see 100,000. Why not? Why would we not see 100,000? It's just a big round technical number that everyone trades around. And I could see what you're seeing, right? If we break out, maybe we just get that continuation right back up to 100,000 and we continue this very long consolidation. And who knows how long this consolidation can be. This is a 4-hour chart. And yeah, that's ugly. This thing's ugly. There's not much in terms of patterns to trade or do anything off of. Maybe we look at, I don't know. This one's difficult to see, or I'm not seeing patterns. There's just a whole lot of consolidation and choppiness. So from a trading perspective, I don't want to touch Bitcoin. Bitcoin's not for me from a trading perspective. It's just wait and wait some more. I'm not a Bitcoin trader. I thought about it. I looked at it. I looked into it. and it just wasn't for me. I'm looking for Bitcoin to sell off. Maybe it doesn't, and if it doesn't, that's fine. I would really like to see some type of a sell-off, below 88,000. It looked like we was going to get it there for a moment. No, we didn't. Maybe there's an argument now here on the daily of a bullish flag. Would this be a flagging pattern? A bullish flagging pattern on the daily? Maybe. That's a possibility. If we look back, then yeah, we'd be like, yeah, of course. If we do start to rally and break out and we start pushing new highs, we're going to look back and say that was a bullish flag. And right now we're right in the middle, and I wouldn't want to touch Bitcoin in the middle of this range and this consolidation. So yeah, let's take a look around. What's this Nikkei doing? Is Nikkei moving at all? Or are you just kind of going sideways? A whole lot of nothing. I'm not expecting markets to move a lot before the big news tomorrow. Where we were up here yesterday, right? Last night, this is kind of where we were. This is where I took my loss. And the funny thing is, where we closed yesterday and opened up yesterday at 5 p.m. is where we closed today, and we opened up tonight, which is kind of funny, right? You can see where we closed and we opened up at 5 p.m. Basically, that's the same spot, right? Closed open, and we went all the way up here, all the way back down, and had a very crazy day. Closed and opened the exact same spot. We're all the way down here, and yeah, maybe it's more of the same. That's kind of why I threw this sim trade on for a look for a rotation back up towards these 8, like back up to here. But yeah, not much really going on in this trade, huh? A whole lot of sideways price action, and I'm just expecting more sideways price action. Let's take a look at the NAS. Same with the NASDAQ. Man, that was quite the violent move. Now that I start to zoom in, and yeah, that was a violent move here in the NASDAQ. I'm sure that caught everybody. That had to have caught everybody by surprise. Like, that is, what's in terms of percentage? Just 1% down and 1% up? Who was trading? Was anybody in here trading at that time? I'm going to have to go watch this happen on Topstep TV. That's why I love about having it recorded. I could go watch the Power Hour on Topstep TV and see the team and watch how they traded it, navigated it, and talked about it. You shorted that top. Yeah, you remember I was on there for the lunchbox trade, and that's what I was telling Hoag, right? I was like, man, it really looks like a good short up here. And when I was on the lunchbox with Hoag, and yeah, it really was a good short, because I'm sure there's a lot of traders who probably was able to get into a short up there. It restored your account. I caught the 1% down, then walked away. Good. That's probably better than most. I shorted the top and long the bottom. That was a blessing then for everybody. It looks like, it sounds like. Short the volatility can be a double-edged sword, right? Volatility is a double-edged sword. It could be very, very good for us as traders, and then it could be our Achilles heel. It is the volatility and unexpected moves, right? Where, you can imagine if a trader was long, if a trader was long this, and then suddenly the next thing they know, it just crashed, right? So this volatility could be very good in terms of trading, but then it could be very bad in terms of screwing up a strategy unexpectedly. Rap music? No. You'll learn. YouTube chat does not lose money. That's a fact. That is an absolute fact. So give me a second. I'm going to get a drink right here, and then we'll get to some questions. And it looks like the Nikkei is starting to move a little bit. P&L turns green. Yeah, we're seeing a little bit of movement here. That's a nice thing. You know what? A better trade would probably be to, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and probably add to this. If we could break through this 570, that would be a better trade. You know what? I'm not going to add. I would. This is just a sim, so it doesn't really matter. I'd like to see us break through these 570, 575, 570, and then it would look a lot better. All right, to the questions. I'm sore tonight, everybody. Sparring. I'm starting to spar in boxing again. Today was my first day, and man, I tell you, when you, and maybe there's probably an analogy here about trading, about, you know, if you take some time off from whatever you do and then you try and get back into it, it's tough. And I mean, you could say the same thing about the markets. If you take some time off and then just try and get back into it, it takes some time. It takes some time. That's definitely for sure. And so I'm super sore, like ice bath and just melatonin, take a sleep for 12 hours. Man, that's true. Let's get to some of these questions. How much size should I start out with on a 50K? So if you're in a 50K account, I would start with 1 micro. Start with 1 micro, practice, follow a process, and then once you feel comfortable trading 1 micro, and once you feel comfortable with your process, then you could scale up. Then maybe try 2 micros, then 3. And then just get confident. But 1 to 3 micros, like, I see Slow-Mo says in the chat, that's all you really need. There's no sense of trading too big. Definitely. If you're going to start off, if you're new, you want to learn to become a consistent trader, that's how you do it. It's boring. You might not like it because you're not making the big P&Ls that you see on social media or YouTube. Micros, even in right there, UCLA trades, even 1 to 3 micros in 150K accounts is very reasonable. It's less about the dollar amount. It's less about the size, because you're new, right? Maybe you do have experience and you're trying to become consistent and get to that XFA. The most important part is, regardless of whether it's a micro, a mini, 10 minis, whatever it is, the most important part is following a process, learning a process, and being consistent. If you can do that, you could scale up to whatever size, and then you don't have to worry about it. Here we go. Look at this. There is the trade. Let's manage some risk. And who's long the Nikkei? It's looking good. Of course, when I don't take it in my live account, right? On news, when do you prefer to jump in? How do you trade momentum? I do not trade news. I do not trade news. I want to make sure everyone understands that. I wait until after the news and then let the market settle down a little bit, and then I'll look for opportunities. I will not trade news. I have been following Mo's 1000 tick chart, but I noticed he's trading MNQ, not NQ. NQ traded lower contract volume, so do I need to use a 50 tick for a similar setup? Ooh, Sunfrost. Great observation. Great observation. So we all know MNQ, micros, is 1/10 of the size. And if you're using a 1000 tick chart, I would say, would 1/10 of the chart be valid? I mean, it's hard for me to say for sure. I use a 100 tick chart, and I would say a 100 tick chart on a NASDAQ, an NQ, is 1/10 the size of a 1000 tick chart. So maybe that. Try it out. The best thing you could do is maybe take a look at the 500 tick, test it out, and then test, practice, practice. Coach Dakota, are you still sharing about overnight trades? I try to find your older videos, overnight trades. I do. I do share my overnight trades. Not my overnight trades. I mean, you're seeing this right now. I talk about it all the time. I go over it all the time, a lot. And yeah, continuing to find if there's a trade setup, I'll talk about it. This is definitely one of them. This is one of them. And I'm looking for this market to get back up towards these 800s. What kind of market structure are you looking for when you're looking at the tick charts instead of the minute? It's the same market structure. I'm looking at the same exact market structure. It doesn't matter whether it's a minute, a 100 tick chart, an hourly chart. It's the same market structure. You see support, resistance, technical patterns, double bottoms. You see this is a 5-minute chart. And it doesn't matter whether this is a 5-minute chart really, or a 100 tick chart or a minute chart. This is a pattern, right? This is a pattern where we make kind of a double bottom. You can say this is a higher low, right? A higher low. We did just break through. We did break out of those 70s. And yeah, looking for this thing to keep going. I mean, that's a decent move. That's a decent move in the Nikkei. Yeah, I prefer the 100 tick chart. I don't really look at the 1 minute very often. How long do you usually hold your Nikkei trades? Do you have a profit target? I'll hold my Nikkei trades all night long. Yeah. Yeah, so I'll be looking for something like this. This is probably where I would turn my computer off and go to bed. Like this is a good example of turning my computer off and going to bed. Does that make sense? I hope that answered your question. Coach Dakota, do you look for divergences in the tick charts? I do not. Nope, I don't. What is the 100 tick equivalent to the range bar? I'm not sure. I don't think the tick and the range correlate very well. I'm not sure on that one. I know Coach Robert trades range bars. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think he does trade range bars. He messaged me. Coach Robert messaged me. So this might be fun. Maybe. I don't know how much this... I'll have to catch Coach Robert on Topstep TV. That'd be a fun conversation one of these days. When I was talking about boxing, he's like, let's set up a charity match. Coach Robert will spar with me. That would be fun. Who would want to see that? A charity sparring match. I mean, I won't say like it's a like the ones that you typically see on TV. It might be fun. I've never met Robert in person. Sign me up too. Oh man, Kevin, here's another good question. We're going to continue watching this. I'm going to continue to answer questions. It's kind of a nice, slow, relaxed night for me, to be honest. I keep passing combines, making profit, and then blowing them like an idiot. Any advice for scaling up? Also, I really have no idea on how to come up with good process/strategy. How are you making profits then? How do you pass combines, and how are you making profits? I think, number one, I'm sure there's a lot of traders that in here are the same. I'll get to some of your guys' replies in just a moment, but I want to address this. you need to follow a process to pass a combine. It sounds like you're really just increasing your size, trying to pass combines, and then you kind of don't know where to go after you pass the combine, and you don't have the confidence once you get into like an XFA. So that can be a bigger issue, because you should be able to trade exactly the same. Trade the exact same way that you pass the combine. You trade the exact same way as you do in the XFA and in the live account. So if I pull up, so like for example, like this is exactly, I'm not joking, the same exact way I trade in a combine. So here's a combine, right? If I pull up my live account, so if I close out of this, log out, and then I pull up my live account, it's the exact same. This is exactly the same way. It might be a tiny bit different. So as you can see, this is my live account. It's a little bit different compared to my, oh, come on. Log in. So yeah, you see there's a little bit different nuances in between my practice, my live, and this and this. Actually, I'm going to tighten this baby up. Tighten that up. So that it's the same. I mean, I don't trade any different. Live or combine, that's, you trade it the same. Trade exactly the same. Nice long took it. Yeah, everyone who's I seen a lot of traders in the chat that was long the Nikkei, and that was before I even started this stream. So big shout out to everybody. I love to see that. I love to see the traders, I mean, doing really well, being able to read these markets really good. Probably getting better entry points than I do, which is nice. Here we go. Here we go. Yeah, I didn't get a good entry point on my live account. Doesn't look like it. I had a buy stop in. That's okay. That's all right. TG's trades, I wait for it to hit people's stops, and then I enter. That's the right way to do it. That is the right way to do it. Nikkei looks juicy. I want to see you take profit on your Nikkei, because every time I watch you trade, you blow all your profit overnight. That's not true. I don't always blow my profit overnight. There's plenty of times I take profit. You just have to watch and tune in more consistently. I lose 65 or whatever the statistics are. So you got to tune in a lot more. This is an overnight trade. Maybe you're going to be watching this one hit the lows. This is a decent. This is definitely an overnight trade. I might close out of a few contracts, but that's it. Maybe we could, let's see if we get up near these highs. 884. That's about, right now it's about a 2-to-1. Deshaun Bradley, no, not 61% lose rate, a 67% lose rate. 60.05, I guess. Sunfrost, I don't have any guesses. It's a coin flip. Any of those news events to me is a coin flip. Why is the Nikkei such low volume? Is it only traded in the U.S.? Nope. Nikkei is the Japanese market. It's the market is open right now, and it's just the market, right? It depends on the popularity, how many traders trade it, and that's basically it, right? It's the pop. I couldn't tell you why it's low volume. But the Nikkei typically sees more volatility at nights, at this time of night, and then we see some more volatility during London session and then during news events, of course. When the Nikkei or any market sells off to a support, what do you watch for to determine reversal or continuation? John L., I look at technical analysis, kind of what we were looking at down here, right? We've seen kind of a double bottom. We've seen a double bottom right here, in this little pattern. We made ever so slightly higher low, and as soon as we crossed above this, I mean, that's a decent pivot. This one, it looks like I got not that great of entry, right? 590, that's a horrible entry. Then if we go to what I was doing on my sim, I got a better entry, because guess what? I mean, look at that. That's a much better entry. So there's a difference between sim and live. That's for sure. That is for sure. Let me just get out of this sim. We can see the difference on this. Get out a couple of these. Tighten up the stop. And then call it good. I'm going to switch back to the live. And then we could just finish watching this one. Because the reason why I'm getting out of the sim and not the live is because I want to not think about what's going on in the sim. This is an overnight trade. Once again, this is an overnight trade. This is one. To be honest, I could still come against me. I'm actually going to tighten it up a little bit more. And then I'll continue to look for areas to move my stop loss until I go to bed. My perfect scenario is us pulling back to like a level of support or resistance, right? If we do pull back and have a little bit of a sell-off down to these 640s, 650s. And then if we get more continuation, this is my idea scenario. That way I can move my stop loss below this pivot. And then when I go to bed, I mean, I don't have to worry about too much. That's my idea scenario. So of course we want the markets to just go straight up, right? Markets tend to go straight against you when you're in a trade, right? Yesterday, the markets just went straight down and hit my stop loss. We'd love for the markets just to go straight up when you're in a long, or straight down when you're in a short, but that's not the tendency of markets. And that's why, I love to give room for the trade. I don't mind a pullback. I don't mind a pullback that will allow it to like come down, maybe find a level of support, and then have that continuation. So that's, I don't mind it. Or, you know what? Yeah, like some traders saying, or I'm just completely wrong. That happens. Maybe I'm just completely wrong and it sells off and I lose and move on to the next one. Mohammed, asking the better questions in here. Have I ever looked into which instrument gives you the highest success? And the instrument that gives me the highest success is the NASDAQ. It's the NASDAQ. Second is, surprisingly, crude oil. I haven't traded crude oil because it has not been good conditions. And then third has been the Nikkei. Yep, NASDAQ, crude oil, Nikkei, and then gold is last for the markets that you see me trade here on the Topstep accounts, which is interesting. I never would have thought of that. I would have thought it would have been like NASDAQ, Nikkei. I didn't realize crude was one of my more successful markets, but maybe because I don't trade it very often, and when I do, it's like really higher time frames. Like you've seen that my one crude oil trade where when we were watching it break out in a period of weeks, right? And that's why. Are you still thinking about trading more ES? Remember you were talking, I was thinking about trading the ES, but not for slow markets. Not slow markets. Not trading the ES for slow markets. NASDAQ, it's just hard for me to get away from the NASDAQ just because that's where I have made my money. It's volatile. I want, when I'm trading during the New York session, I just kind of want to narrow my focus down and focus on the NASDAQ. And it's unlike slow markets, where slow markets, I have the time to look at these different markets. I have the time to look at crude and Nikkei and gold and the NASDAQ. And where fast markets, I don't have that time. I just don't have that luxury. I focus on the NASDAQ. I trade the NASDAQ. And I'm not, splitting up my attention so far apart, right? Do I use order or volume profile? I don't. I don't, Rebel. I do not. Coach Jay is. Coach Jay, some of the other coaches are absolutely amazing. Much, much better than I am when it comes to that. Let's see. Let's see if the sim account got filled. Yeah, we got one. We got one filled. Let's just go ahead and get out of that last one. We'll get out of that last one and leave that one on as a runner. See where this one ends up. I'm just gonna leave this one on a runner, and then we'll go back to the live. It's the one we'll compare the two, right? We'll compare the two. Which account did I make more money with on this trade? The sim or the live account? Okay. Does the live account have the same scaling plan / contracts limit on it as the XFA? Or is it a la carte based on discussion with the risk? Sunfrost. Live accounts do not have the same scaling plan. Live accounts are based off of the conversations with the risk manager. And live accounts have a lot less restrictions. For example, you can have a conversation with a risk manager and you can say, I'd like to trade 50 contracts. And depending on how you are as a trader, you could trade 50 contracts. You could start in your live account trading 20 contracts. You could start in your live account trading, 5 contracts. It just depends on how you're trading. It depends on how you're managing risk. And it depends on, of course, the risk manager and that conversation. That's the flexibility that the risk managers are able to give. And then on top of that, you have the beautiful thing called leverage, where in a typical account size, in your personal account, you're not going to be trading 50 contracts. But at a prop firm, they could open you up to, you could probably even get to trading 100 contracts of the NASDAQ if it ever comes to that, right? You're able to do that at Topstep or a prop account. Now, is that realistic? Maybe not, but I'm just using that as an example. Enzo the Picker, what session do I find the most success? Lately, it's been the New York session. I've found a lot more success during the New York session as of late. But, this Asian session hasn't been that bad. It's been getting better and better. The more the more volatility that's came, the more I don't know. We're gonna find out. It's a new year, and I would really like to see how a full week. It's been a while since we had a full week, right? We had a lot of craziness going on in November, December, right? We had holidays, we had inflation stuff, and we didn't really get a nice, quiet, or we didn't really get a nice, solid month of trading without something getting in the way. What's my biggest futures position I've ever had? Biggest I've had on was 30 contracts unhedged. And I say unhedged, I've had bigger positions, but bigger positions, I not on this account. In my personal account, I've had bigger positions, but I'm typically hedged. I trade options, and my biggest position that was not hedged was 30 contracts trading in the live account here. Akita, what happened to Rips being your number one trading buddy? You were asked on air and didn't even mention him. I don't know. I don't have those details. And I'm not going to get into anyone's business. Is this your biggest source of income? Is what? What do you refer to as, quote, this? What do you mean this? Do I always hedge my trades? No. If I'm always hedged, I'm going to have, I won't make money on a directional move. You don't even look at the volume, Dakota, purely price action. Yes, pure price action, technical account. This live account? No, this live account's not my main income. I've taken 0 payouts on this. This is what I'm doing for coaching and for Topstep, and to trade live in front of everybody and talk and learn and all of that. This account is live, and this is not my, I have taken 0 payouts, so I'm not even considering this income yet. Sergio, I do not have Instagram, just the Twix, just Twitter, X. Tommy Trades, any tips for reading the tape on the NASDAQ? I would revert that to Coach J. If I'm going to say you're going to read the tape on the NASDAQ, Coach J, some of the other coaches are much better than I am at reading the tape or reading level 2 data, reading the DOM. Yeah, it's still crazy. It's still if you guys believe that, if everybody in here believes this, I still get questions and traders saying, this is not real. This is not a real live account. It is. I don't know how many times I've showed it live in front of everybody, me trading and filling orders and it going through the DOM and all of that. Like, you could see the level 2. And I've showed it so many times. I've showed it when I had Coach Jay on with me. I've showed it, like, it seems like once a month. I'll show traders live account and my order going through the order books. And for some reason, there's always that few handful of people who's just, don't believe it. Or they're just lazy and they don't want to go back through and see a recording. And fortunately, there are people everywhere similar to that. I'm just going through lots of questions tonight. Do you find the DOM a useful tool? Kim Price? Yeah, the DOM is a very useful tool for getting in and out, and then seeing price action. Seeing when I look at the DOM, everybody, when I look at the DOM, I'm not really looking at like anything in particular. It helps me understand volatility, like how fast is this market going, how thick are the bids and asks, right? Like, how are the orders? How, like, you can see how there's single digits, and then if I take a look at, say, the NASDAQ, you can see that's a lot more thin, right? So therefore, you can say, hey, look, there's ones and twos, threes, fours, fives, and then we take a look at probably, say, ES. And look at this. There's ES. It's a lot more liquid, right? So I could see this. That's kind of what I judge the most when I look at that. And then sometimes you'll see a big order come through, like, oh wow, there's 100 contracts. I mean, for somebody somewhere, that might mean something. And then look, you can see where the bid and ask is above the last fill price. And then when I'm trading, say, the Nikkei, I could be able to see, the bid and ask is above the last fill price. How can I adjust? How can I get in? How can I get out? And finding these little nuances that it doesn't really give me an idea of like, buy now, right? Like, this is telling me to buy. No, it's more of like, this is telling me that the market's volatile. I could get in at the bid. I have to use a limit order, or maybe I need to use a market order, or this market's moving really, really fast, or it's volatile. And a whole bunch of like those little tiny things I look at has nothing to do with the reason why I'm getting in and the reason why I'm getting out. Everything that I'm looking for in terms of my setup and my process is pure support and resistance. So, let's see how this one plays out. We do have 40 minutes left of class, And yeah, this is kind of what I was looking for. Come down, test of this closer to these 630s, right, where we broke out of this zone. And yeah, I'd love to see this become support. And if we do start to rally up, this is going to be a nice level to be able to move my stop loss and be able to sleep, turn my computer off and go to bed, right? Like that's what I kind of want to see. And I was saying that when we were up here. No one really wants the market to go against them, but if the market does go against me, I'm okay with it, just because I'm okay with seeing this type of market structure and price action. How do you determine whether or not to hold your setup through the night while you're sleeping? It depends on the setup, right? This is a setup based off of a higher time frame. If we take a look at the hourly chart, right? We take a look at the hourly chart and look at all of this consolidation. There is a ton of consolidation right here. And, you know, buy the bottom end of this consolidation, sell the upper end of this consolidation. We have a big news event coming tomorrow morning. And, you know, I do like that, you know, if there's some type of a trade, this was kind of it, where we buy the lower end of the consolidation. We look for us to come back up towards this upper end, especially with a big news event where, you know, anything can happen to the markets, but typically you won't see a giant move right before a news event, you know, the following day. There's a lot of choppy price action and consolidation before that. Rebel, have I ever met MP in person? I have. MP is a lot taller than I expected. I've said that to him. You don't really. Everyone always looks different when you meet them in person compared to just sitting and seeing like their upper body. You can see from like their chest up, and it's like, oh wow, okay. And then you see them in person and like, okay, I'm 6 foot, and I think MP's like 6'1". It's kind of putting that realistic. Corn-fed from Nebraska. Yeah, I don't know how tall MP is, but he's at least 6'1", 6'2". Let's take a look. Let me go back to the 5-minute chart here. This is what we're wanting to see. There we go. Let's see. If this market plays out exactly how we drew it up, that would be nice. That would be really nice, right? It'd be like when everything just comes together, where we break out, we pull back to that nice area of support or resistance, support and resistance. It bounces off of it. We get a nice continuation back up to where we were looking for the market to go, these 38,800s. I'm able to take some profit and then show traders that these orders go through the order book. It's a real live account. Then I'm able to end class on a positive note and then get a nice night's of sleep. That'd be the idea, class. Let's see if we could finish like that. I saw a video clip of Andre somewhere recently and barely recognized him compared to his TopstepTV appearance. I know. The only person I've met in person, I've met Rips and I've met MP. Do I prefer to trade alongside? Always. If there's an opportunity to buy it, I'm usually buying it. I love to buy the markets. Lido. Mockingbird, what instruments do you consider trading on the Asian session? Rewatch this class. I like to watch NASDAQ, crude oil, this right here, Nikkei, Japanese market, and then gold. Would you consider the wedge forming on the 5-minute bullish or bearish? I'll look at the NASDAQ. Well, I'm focused on the Nikkei, guys. We're watching this Nikkei trade, and then we'll take a look at the other ones later. Yeah, Chauncey, I'm 6. I'm 5'13" on good days with a pair of shoes on, and I'm 5'12" without shoes. My average time to stay in a position, it depends. Slow markets, I'll stay in position for hours. Fast markets, less than an hour typically. Let's see this push up. If we could break through this 730, 725. There we go. Let's see. Let's see it. $800. 38,800. That's right there. Let's see if we could get one. I really want to see us break. If we can, it's going to make me happy. This is what I want to see in terms of price action. Right? We pulled back, tested this as this resistance became support, and then the breakout will confirm it for me. If we could break through this, make a higher low. But it's slow markets, so it's not it's definitely not one where we're expecting it like fast markets where it just breaks out and we all get excited and we have a nice 30-point breakout trade. This one, yeah, that was a nice one. This was a nice candlestick. That was yeah, that was actually a really good one. We'll see how this, if this becomes one too. Mike Barry, I'm sure there is some type of correlation. I don't look at correlation between markets, so I couldn't tell you. When you're up that much, why not move your stop to break even? Because we could still come down and test this. The market hasn't told me to move my stop loss yet. If we start to break through these 730s, I will move my stop. You guys, everyone, you guys think the majority of the questions I get that are similar to that, Rod, is traders who are so focused and they think about the dollar amounts. They think about the dollar amounts. They think about not giving up money, which is fair, which is perfectly fine. But yeah, the process over profits. If this was just one contract, it'd be the same way I trade as if this was 10 contracts or 20 contracts. It's just a lot easier mentally with one contract, right? If this is just one micro and it's only like 50 cents per tick, no one's really going to care, right? You're not going to really care whether you move your stop loss up and lock in profits because what's $5 if it's one micro. But it's really just, it's the process. It's following that process to where you really have to just stop caring about money. It's very hard. You just stop caring about the dollar amounts when it comes to your account and focus on the process. And then when you do focus on the process and you become consistent at it, the money will follow, right? I don't have a take profit on this. I'm going to close out manually. Yep, no problem, Rod. It's hard. That's one of the biggest hurdles, is not thinking about the money, because we're so emotionally connected to money in every aspect, in paying bills and getting what you want and doing what you want and eating, and every aspect. We're so connected to money. And it's one of the hardest things for me too, right? Not connecting emotionally to the money and following a process. I'm not seeing this market break out just yet. I want to see continuation through those 30s that we are just not getting. Let me just run over to that sim and flatten this so I don't get into a stupid position. We'll close that one. And then go back to the live. All right. Chris, trading a systematic attrition of capital until you hook at the big one. What time frame do you like to trade or enter? Do you use FVG? I do not use FVG, and I like the 5 minute and the 1 hour, 5 minute time frames. Yep, everything you guys see me do here in slow markets, and it's always recorded here on YouTube, is the same way I trade every single time. I trade it every single time the same way, over and over and over. It's very repetitive. How did I anticipate the Nikkei reversal? I didn't anticipate it. I traded it, right? The Nikkei reversed here, and the Nikkei told me the price action actually reversed, right? We broke through a previous high, which was this, and we started to break through it, and that saying, hey, you know, there's a decent chance we can be reversing. So the price action is what gave it away. Did that make any sense? It told me, the market told me it was reversing. Could you imagine? Would you add in if it drops to that resistance level? I think it was too late. If I was going to add, yes. I think this first original pullback would be the better add, right? The first test of this area of support and resistance is the add. If I was not in a long, trade, then and say I missed the move, I'm like, dang it, that was such a great move. I missed it. Then the next thing is I wait for a pullback, and then as we pull back, this could be a great entry. Obviously, it was, and if we zoom into a 1 minute, you could see it better, right? We could zoom in, and then you could see it a lot better. And so as we zoomed in, you could see this market structure better, and you could see, look at all this resistance, and then we came down, we tested the same resistance again right here, and then when we broke out, and then we pull back, and that resistance became support. And then I'm looking for this market to come through, and it looks like we tried to get through those 30s. We got it to 735, and yeah, this is becoming a major resistance again. You can see right here where we opened tonight, the major resistance, 730s. We extend it, and it's still holding as resistance. And a lot of times what I do see is kind of a flagging pattern, and I would be okay with a little bit of a flagging pattern, where if we do flag and then later tonight, maybe London session, we get a breakout. But remember, I'm thinking a London session, right? So, and London session doesn't open for another 5 hours, right? 5.5 hours. So I'm okay, and a lot of times you don't see moves until the London session, and if that's what this trade ends up being, like that's what this trade is. This is a overnight trade. I hold it. We'll see where it goes, and I like the position. Do you know if Topstep will add more Asian markets in the future, like Hang Seng, Kospi, etc.? I'm not sure. Swan. I know that D in the London session trades the Asian market and the London session, obviously, and there's a lot of requests over here in this question mark on the left, and you could see the voting and the feedback, you know, and go through this, and any of the suggestions are definitely in here. You can see where the team's planning some of these, finished some of them, and going through this. This is the best way to know what's being added, what's being changed. I 100% believe that, like something like the DAX or the Nikkei Micro and some of the others, it probably just a matter of time. What do you mean, why wait for the London session? Because I'm going to be sleeping when this trade most likely plays out. The way it's looking is I'm going to be sleeping. Odds are I will be sleeping when this trade comes to a conclusion. That's why I'm saying, hey, usually it's the London session when we see a spike in volatility. Why wait for the London session? William, are you hired SWE to work on the platform? I'm not sure what that is. I don't hire anybody. I'm not a... Yeah, I don't know any of the inside details. Got it. Thanks. when you are up that much, why don't you move this up, go through some of these. Ugh, what a slow market. What a slow market. Let's see this flagging pattern and break out during London. I was really hoping we'd get it live during class, but once again, markets don't care whether I'm streaming or when I'm not. Oh, okay. Yeah, most likely. Most likely Topstep has hired software engineers or web devs. I don't know any of those details. I'm a trader. I'm a coach. I don't know any of the inside information. And you can't get it out of me because I don't know it. What do you see in crude? Let's take a look at these other markets. Let's take a look at NASDAQ. NASDAQ's pushing these lows. Where did the NASDAQ open up tonight? What look at this move. Like, look at this move earlier. So volatile. And let's take a look. We are down quite a bit then, right? If we opened up, this is kind of where we opened. This is the zone, and tonight we are down. So we are down what? Not 0.2. It's not much. It's slow. There's probably a lot of people just waiting on the sidelines, waiting for tomorrow's news. So we are still lower than where we closed. Let's see, where did we actually know? What? So much volatility the last 5 minutes. Did we technically close up here? Straight down, and the last 5 minutes, this is just this one's such a crazy move. So yeah, it looks like we did basically close at like 969. So 20 points lower, 30 points lower. That's not much. It happened in 5 minutes. And a whole lot of nothing. Everyone, there's a lot of traders in the chat that caught this Nikkei long. Are you flat? Did you take profit? Let me know in the chat. Everybody who was long the Nikkei that got in before I did, probably a lot better price. Did you close it out? Are you still long? Are you holding it? Let me know. I want to see what you guys are thinking. Greed took profit. String Boy still long. Sue still long. What are your targets? What are you looking at? Someone closed, flat. It's a good opportunity for the night. Took profit at the top. Will buy the bounce at support. Phoenix. Ooh, trap card, 3.1 thousand in profit. Amazing trade. Target 795, which is up there. Okay. 3880. You burnt your 100K. You were short at 3880. You're short from up here. Still up. Still in take profit, 3880. Can you trade the Nikkei on express funded? Yeah, you can. I won't recommend it because if you're new and you're still learning and trying to be consistent, Nikkei is pretty big and it might not be for you. 790. Man, look at everybody's trading so much better than I am. Really, so much better than I am. Be honest. So I did close out my sim account. I closed out the sim trades up here. This is where I closed out the sim, that sim. So it's going to be an interesting comparison tomorrow. If my sim account I closed out for profit for like 2K, and my live account, we're going to see how this one holds and plays out. So we shall see. You can see there's a little bit of move every once in a while. See how the bid and ask and it starts to wiggle and all that. NQ just broke pop stops. We broke down on the NQ. 930, 937. Still not much volatility. Like that's probably how it's going to be for most of the evening. Brooksport, I'm up $100 after market trading. Gold looks pretty heavy. Donnie, gold looks definitely heavy. How many trades do you usually take on fast markets? Poetic, it depends on the day. Less than 5. I don't know. I might not have. I think all my trades on fast market is usually less than 5 trades. Yesterday it was Monday. It was 1 trade, I think. Monday I had 1 trade, and I made $4,800 on that one. So I would definitely say less than 5 is the safe answer. Usually less is best. I would say on average maybe 2 or 3. It's been 5 contracts. 5 contracts on the NASDAQ. Closed out up 32 cents. Hey, it's better than being down. Coach, are you reviewing trader reports tonight? I will tomorrow. I have Coach Jay. Coach Jay is going to be on with me tomorrow night, Wednesday. Tomorrow is Wednesday. And on Wednesdays, I will be having Coach Jay. We'll be reviewing trader statistics. That's always fun. That's probably Wednesday nights is one of my favorite slow markets of the week. It's always going to be there. I really enjoy it to be able to have somebody on here with me at night, being able to talk so I don't have to at times, sharing their trade ideas, talking about the markets. It's probably one of the best slow market segments is when Coach Jay's on. Coach T is AI. Coach T is AI. Gaddy, I by not trading. How do you trade the CPI news? Is not trading. I do not trade CPI news. I do not trade news. How much profits when you were in XFA until you started trading 5 lots? I can't remember. I think it really depended on the trade. Like if I had a relatively tight stop loss, it was a bigger position. But then if it was an overnight trade, it was much smaller. So it depended on the stop loss. When I was in a combine and an XFA, wherever I put my stop loss, I would try to change the size depending on how wide my stop. Because if I have a 30-point stop, I would be okay with 1 or 2 contracts. But then if I had a 10-point stop, then I could do 6 or 7 contracts depending on like the situation. So it really depends. Can you talk about a realistic RR on the NASDAQ? Currently trying to keep it around 1 to 2.5 or 3. Sometimes NQ will take you out immediately and then get in your direction. Chucky, if you are brand new, I would start with just a 2-to-1 risk reward. 2-to-1, maybe 1.5 to 1, where for every dollar you risk, you're looking to make 2, or for every dollar you risk, you're looking to make 1.5. Yeah, you don't want to just have big risk rewards when you're brand new. I would there's even an argument out there that says if you're new and you're trying to find consistency, just go for a 1-to-1 risk reward and try and be better than 50% of your trades. That's something, start somewhere. And usually new traders do better when they win more because the emotional side of dealing with losses is very hard. And so, yeah, traders that are new tend to flock towards higher win percentages because it's easy. It's that instant gratification when you win and when you win a lot, and then you get that instant gratification. And it feels good. And then over time, you're going to get used to losing. And the more you get used to losing, the better you'll be able to find those higher risk reward trades. And maybe you can start to adjust or find some trades that have a higher risk reward because you're better with taking a loss and taking losses. So if maybe I had an ultimate suggestion, I'd say just go for a 1-to-1 and try and be better than 50% risk or win percentage. Like do that at first. If you're completely brand new, that might be the best. Just, hey, going for a 1-to-1, risking 20 points to make 20 points on the NASDAQ. And my goal is just to get better than 50% win rate. That should be, and in theory, that's profitable, right? And if you have a 55% win rate, you could be profitable on that. So it sounds simple. It's not, but I would try that at first. Is it good that I have a 48% win rate but a positive P&L? Yeah, at the end of the day, the P&L is what matters. At the end of the day, the P&L is what matters. What makes level and say that it's correct? I always look at levels and they don't work out. There is some discretion when it comes to that. There is some discretion when it comes to support and resistance levels. I look at this level right here and then on the Nikkei. It's a zone, right? Every level is a zone where, yeah, this is a 630. You can see where it was resistance. We can see where it's resistance here, and then it became support. So, I mean, this can be discretionary. Was it going to react off that? Maybe, maybe not. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Nothing works 100% of the time. The Panda Express fortune cookie. I have one of those around here somewhere. If I had to deal with trailing drawdown, how would you change your strategy? Smaller, trade smaller. That's always the best. Dealing with any hurdles is trading smaller. Thoughts on using moon cycles? Christopher Kramer, if you use moon cycles and you're profitable, let me know. Whatever works, right? Whatever works. If you could practice good risk management and use moon cycles or smoke signals or whatever and find success and do it consistently and repeatable, I mean, there's nothing to be argued. I know it's just for laughs, but you'd be surprised at some traders and their strategies and how they trade, and the fact that Nick for a tick's in here distracting me now. Yeah, Nick uses something down that same path of moon cycles, smoke signals. It works. What do you use, Nick? He there was definitely yeah, that's my job. It's late. I'm bored and hanky. Is the baby awake? Is the baby keeping you awake? Is that what's going on? Full moon means markets just go straight up. The market's mooning. Oh, the hot dog. Don't bring up the hot dog. She's sleeping through the night. You should be getting sleep too. Or you're just so used to being awake and just not used to it. And now we have Coach Jay coming out. It was just for Halloween. It was a Halloween costume. All right, everybody. Halloween costume. Not a big deal. Okay, 10 more minutes. 10 more minutes. 10 more minutes, and we're ending it. Market's just not really doing anything. Yeah, it's not as good as Coach J's bear. Coach J had a really good one. He was a bear, an AI bear, automated bear. When did you start the Nikkei? And I mean, this is where I got into the Nikkei. Oh, you're bringing all that stuff up. It's online. If you look, it was during Halloween. Everything's online. It's all recorded. So if you ever want to know anything about me in slow markets or what happened, it's all recorded. All my trades, all my trading, all my winners, all my losers, all the craziness that happens. Everything is all recorded. Did you ever struggle with greed and not accepting a small loss? I do. I do struggle with greed and not accepting small losses. And every once in a while, I still get through that. And for me, more now, it's less about the dollar amounts and more about missed opportunities. So sometimes I struggle, and I'm human just like everyone else. Sometimes I struggle with being able to just be like, you know what, I'm wrong, even though the opportunity is still there, closing the trade, and then and just being done, right? So sometimes that's where I do struggle. I'm like, man, this risk reward's so good. I placed the trade. I mean, let's take this one for example, right? I got into a good trade, and the market just was rallying really hard. We got up to 730s, which is around $3,000. 35, what is it? $3,500. So I was up $3,500, and I'm looking for this market to come up towards these 800s, maybe test 850s overnight. Now I'm thinking overnight between now and tomorrow morning. And, if this market just keeps going sideways, and then say I wake up tomorrow morning and the market's still right here. If I wake up tomorrow before the news and the market's still right here, I'm going to be yeah, it's frustrating. I'm like, what the heck? Like, absolutely no movement overnight. And then sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm just going to let this play out. And then instead of just closing it out for a small profit or a small loss, yeah, sometimes I'll let it play out, and I'm like, dang it, I should have just closed it for wherever it's at, like right now. Like, I just close it, lock in $1,200, be done, type of a situation. But since this is the overnight, I'm fine. If I wake up tomorrow and we're around $1,200, I probably should close it. But sometimes I'm like, yeah, I'm going to just let this one play out. And then it comes down and hits my stop loss. And then, yeah, of course, I'm like, well, $1,200 would have been a lot better than minus $2,800. And part of that is because this is it's, what do we call it? It's a good thing and a bad thing. This is a good thing and a bad thing about me and the way that I trade. Sometimes it's very bad that I don't care whether I win or lose, and I do not care about $1,200 versus minus $2,800. Okay, this can be good and bad. The bad side about this is that I have that tendency of that mindset. I don't care about this to the extent where it's not dollar amounts to me, right? It's just like everybody else in here. If you trade a micro, you're not going to care whether you make $2 or lose $4, right? But that's a triple, like a 200% difference. You make $2 or you lose $4. Well, you gave up $6. That's a huge difference in terms of percentages. And that's technically the same. Do I make $1,200 or do I lose $2,800? And that's, a 3x, right? That's a 3x difference close enough to a 2.5x or whatever, two and three quarters. And yeah, that sometimes for me is the bad thing. Is I don't really care about this $1,200 or losing $2,800, because for me it's about the process and following this process. And like, yeah, you know what my process says? I'm going to let this one play out, and I know the statistics. So it could be both good and bad, right? I don't know how to explain it. I really don't. It's hard for me to explain. This is where some of the other coaches far excel their coaching and their teaching abilities than I do, trying to explain things like that. Walk my process over. I mean, this is my process. I'm going to be going to bed tonight, and I'm actually going to be putting something like this. Yeah, I'll go to bed tonight and let this trade play out. I'm not going to put a take profit yet until I go to bed, because if this market just decides to rally and it keeps going, I don't want to put a limitation on my profits. Right now, this would be a 2-to-1. Yeah, close to a 2-to-1. And if it does start to rally, I would like to close it out manually. I'm going to go to bed with this trade on. And when I wake up in the morning, I'll wake up before CPI. You know, trust me, I have my alarms. I've had a bad experience with that before. And if we're right here, I'll close it out. If we're up here, I'll close it out, and I'll make that decision. I'm not going to hold this into the CPI. That's completely stupid. I'm going to close this out no matter where it's at tomorrow morning when I wake up, regardless win, lose, or consolidation. Now, if before I go to bed and the market's kind of really not doing anything, I'll just put a take profit up here, and I'll just go to bed, and I'll wake up in the morning and see where we're at, because you know this is a 2-to-1 trade, and a 2-to-1 trade, everyone in here knows the statistics. It's basic math, and you know, to be profitable with a 2-to-1 trade, you don't need to be right 50% of the time. You could be right 40%, 30%, 33, whatever the math tends to math to be. Yeah, Pi. Don't bring back those bad memories of CPI or a news event where I slept through my alarm clock and boom. Last time you lost your account because you slept through it? Yeah, I have 2 alarms. Yeah. Yeah, I blew a live account. I've blown a few live accounts. Yeah, that one was the stupidest mistake I've ever made. One of the top stupid ones. I left an account. Yeah, it was slippage. It was. If you want to talk about freaking slippage, go talk to Mick and ask him. Like, yeah, you remember how was the slippage when Dakota held that contract? Those 15 contracts in the NASDAQ into an inflation event during the summer, and he would laugh. I mean, I don't want to say it was only $20,000, but $20,000 is $20,000. $15,000 was slippage. $15,000 worth of slippage. I mean, that's not bringing that back. Not bringing that memory back. That was good times. Good times. A lot's happened in a year. Take that $20,000 worth of slippage. No, $15,000 worth of slippage. That's got to be a record for someone. That's the record amount of slippage for me. So I'm going to leave it at on that note. I'm going to leave the stream on that. This is the exact opposite, right? I was looking for this market to break up and leave it on a positive winning trade note. I mean, this is still a winning trade, but we're going to leave tonight on me losing $15,000 on slippage. And I will see everybody tomorrow during Power Hour. I will be there tomorrow during Power Hour. If not, tomorrow night, me and Coach Jay, we will be able to do some trader statistics review. And I will see everybody then. Take care.